Welcome to the Rude Dog Show. This is Rudy Reyes. Hey, thanks for joining me. Good afternoon, everybody. The NFL is ahead of us right now, and we're going to do one thing at a time. We're going to do sports at one time. We're going to talk about baseball at one time, and today is no exception to that rule. It is a baseball day, and of course, there's a lot of great things to talk about in relation to everything having to do with Major League Baseball. And I can honestly tell you, this is going to be quite interesting to say the least. And when I look at the NFL season, when I look at Major League Baseball, when I look at NBA, there are a lot of great things going on right about now. And I must say that there's a lot of people that I'm currently impressed with in regards to how they're able to get these seasons done, especially COVID-19 being the factoid in relation to what's working, what isn't working. And teams that are experimenting in regards to what could work for the season. But for Major League Baseball, my goodness gracious, there's so much to unpack. It's not even funny. We have the grapefruit leagues going on right now. And nothing overly impresses me right about now. And I don't say that because there aren't any players that impress me right now, but teams are certainly on the impression skid. And of course, the impression skid that I'm referring to is just looking at Fernando Tatis in San Diego. Then you have Machado in San Diego. You have these guys who are always mic'd up, who have great personalities and attitudes, not only towards the game, but they really enjoy what they do. And you could actually see them being a part of a San Diego team that just looks that much better. It looks that much nicer. We're live on YouTube. This is Rudy Reyes on the Rude Dog Show. Just in case you didn't know, go to rudedogshow.com, find all types of great interviews. Speaking of interviews, I am just waiting here momentarily. We're going to have Jason Kendall on, who played in the major leagues for quite a few years, played for the Pirates, the Athletics, the Cubs, the Brewers, and the last team he had the pleasure of being on were the Kansas City Royals about 11 years ago. So hopefully Jason will join me here in just a moment. But one thing you should know about Jason Kendall, he skipped college. He was born in San Diego, California, where I'm from, in Southern California, not necessarily San Diego, but in California in general. And he has, he had done some absolutely fantastic things, played in the league, baseball league, whatever you want to call it, MLB, for over 20 years. So if there's anybody who knows about baseball from a pitching standpoint, from a hitting standpoint, from a playing catcher position, it's one of those things. Of course, the favorite team that I enjoyed him being on were the Pittsburgh Pirates, who ultimately had drafted Jason back in 1996, and that's when Three Rivers was still around, but he only hit for, not that he only hit for it, but he hit for the cycle in at Three Rivers Stadium. I know it's kind of weird to hear that Pirates player hitting for the cycle, and that's kind of unheard of, especially nowadays, going on, especially at PNC Park, where the Pirates are still trying to figure out their identity, not only from a pitching standpoint, but just from team, morale. You get rid of an old skipper, bring in Derek Shelton. A lot of great things to talk about right now. And
What's
of
going on,
course,
dude?
the one and only, Jason was able to get his audio worked out. We're on video as well, Jason, unless you're shy on
No.
the,
I'm all good. I just was, yeah, he actually saved me because I was out making a metal shelves. So I know I greatly appreciate it. Really good seeing you, man. How's everything going?
likewise. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for coming on. It's okay that you're not video friendly, because not all of us are. Not everybody likes to be on video. So, but I appreciate you joining me nonetheless. Thanks for coming on. I was just
Absolutely.
giving you a
Not
little
a
bit of
problem.
accolades there.
Not a problem at all. I appreciate it. You're just gone.
Oh no, I'm here. We're bouncing back and forth. You can have video start if you want. It's up to you. It's totally up to you.
I'll pop it on. I'm just trying to figure out.
Yeah, no worries at all. This season is almost wasn't to be, and not to take anything away from all the people and the attitudes and personalities that had taken to really kind of put this season in such a way that allows fans to come back in a certain percentile. And we're going to discuss that as this continues. But to kind of give those that don't know who Jason Kendall is. Jason's been around the Major League Baseball circuit for about 20 years, been on a handful of teams. Of course, he skipped college, drafted by the Pirates. We're live on YouTube. This is Rudy Reyes on the Road Dog Show, joined by Jason Kendall, who knows a thing or two, I think, about baseball, albeit for me to make any type of assumption whatsoever. But Jason joins me here on the show. And I was just stating that
there we go. I got it.
There he is. You're on the video.
I wasn't even paying attention to what you're saying. I was trying to figure out how to do this, but really, it's good to be on the show. So yeah, I apologize. I was acting like I was listening, but baseball started. Yes. And it's I hope you and your family are well. I know it's and everybody out there, it's a bit of kind of a messed up year, and I think we're almost to the end of it.
Yeah, well, we're at the top. We're definitely trying to peer down to where we're looking in the middle towards the bottom of where we were last year, when I think Major League Baseball had taken the kind of a similar route in regards to bubbling players and bubbling the would-be World Series champions, that being the LA Dodgers. I'm from Los Angeles, so I'm familiar with the Dodgers. Grew up listening to Dodgers baseball, and of course, a lot of great players, to go along the way. Interesting fact, you were the second highest paid back catcher, just behind a guy that Dodger fans know, and that's Mike Piazza. So that's kind of an interesting little fact. Did you feel like the runner up there?
No, not at all. I mean, I think when you have an opportunity to go out and put on a big league uniform on any given night and get it dirty, you're very, very fortunate. And I was very fortunate enough to, make good money. And I have no problem with, I want all the players out there to get all the money they can. And it's neat for me to see things kind of getting back to normal, I think, more than anything. So no, not at all. And I grew up in Torrance, California. Mm-hmm. So I knew I was more of an Anaheim or California Angels. Like Rod Crew was my favorite player growing up. I'm probably a little bit older than you. But so I know all about all that. And I hung out with Piazza and Karros and all those guys for a little bit. It worked out with Eric Karros, for 10 years at the same place called The Yard down in Hermosa Beach. But I you know what, if people can get theirs. And, it's one of those things where hopefully everybody can take care of their family.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm 47. I'll be 48 in September. So
you got me. So where'd you grow up at then? You got me by one.
A little older side, a little on the 1 year pass, I guess. Yeah. It's different. It's different when you're talking about baseball. My dad was the preferred hair cutter for Reggie Jackson. If you knew Reggie or met.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I actually grew up and my dad said, you know what, I got to go to the shop and cut Reggie's hair, and he would never elaborate as to who Reggie who, there's Reggie.
The dude, the Reggie.
Yeah, the Reggie Jackson. And so when he told me that he was going to go in the shop, I said, well, okay, I guess. Can I go with you? Oh, no. This is just a mano type of thing where my dad would cut his hair, and so Reggie would be so kind. Of course, lots of people have their own individual opinions about who Reggie Jackson is. Is he a nice guy out the field and and all that? Yeah. But when my dad used to cut his hair, we used to we were given box seats. So we had the ability to go inside. Yeah. And it was very fun. I got photos with my family wearing Angel colors and all that business. And, growing up as a kid, I didn't really have the, because I listened to Dodger baseball and my dad cut Angels. So it was like, should I be an Angels fan or a Dodgers fan? Which one?
What are we flip a coin? You're right.
Yeah. I'm on one side. I grew up in San Bernardino. And then my family grew up in La Puente and Belinda, right off the 10 freeway. So it was like, I don't know. I'm just a baseball fan.
Fan.
Yeah, I'm just a baseball fan. And then turns out you skipped college. Was that a choice? I mean, was it something you just knew you had to do? I mean, what was the...
I think more than anything, Rudy, it was my parents said, you know what, regardless of, I was going to go down to San Diego State. and play with my brother. My brother was down there
Mhm.
pitching for the Aztecs. Good old Jim Dietz was the head coach at the time. But I wanted to play. I wasn't so locked in on school like some people are, like my kids are nowadays, to be honest with you. And I forced them to. But my parents told me that if you get your college paid for, which I could probably still go back to college if I wanted to. Now I won't, but then you choose your own. And it was the coolest thing in the world, because I've seen now. I've been around baseball for so long now, and I see parents, and I kind of coach my kids when they were young, and I've seen all of the parents who do this, do that, and my parents were never like that. They said, you know what, if you do want to sign, then that's awesome, because they knew I wanted to go play. But you're definitely going to have your college paid for, just in case something happens, freak accident, and whatever it may be.
Right. Right. Wow. That's really interesting. Yeah, I went to high school. I didn't play baseball until I was, oh my gosh, probably 15 and a half. And I was on a team that I didn't really fit in. I didn't think I fit on that team at all. Matter of fact, people didn't really look at me as having any type of talent on the field. No, seriously, because I'm here in left field.
And you're a
You from
grinder. It
General
made you
Adams.
wanted to go more, didn't it?
Yeah, I did. I see, you're gonna throw another log on the fire. You're gonna keep telling me I'm no good, that I'm not this, that, the other. So anyway, so I'm in left field, and it was a championship game, and I've told this story at least one other time. And I had my mitt on my hand. I'm like, oh my gosh, I get to start. So I started. I didn't come off the bench. I
Awesome.
started. Yeah. So I said, well, I guess
Very
I did
cool.
something to impress the coach, right? So here I am starting left field. I get no hits. I get no catches. I got nothing. I'm just standing there waiting for someone to actually hit that ball into my glove or run up to it and just, throw them out. Now, mind you, all along, every single person I played with had 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. They grew up with baseball just like you did. And I didn't. I jumped right into it. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm like the ultra underdog here. Forget the ultimate. The ultra is like the next step. I'm the ultra underdog.
Love it.
And I'm starting in a game I had no business starting in, to be honest with you. At least
Wow,
that's
that's a
how I
great
look.
story. It shows how hard you worked, and that's
Yeah, no, and
so big
I
on
worked
work
really
ethic.
hard. I worked really hard. When Kmart was a thing, my mom went and picked up these pair of old cheap Pumas that decided to dilapidate during the season. So what did I use? I used duct tape, man. I
That's
put
right.
duct tape around it and call it a day. I
Yeah.
didn't care. I did what I had to do. So here I am. I'm in left field. All of a sudden, the very last hitter happened to be a lefty. I said, okay, great. We may have something here. Hitting over first base, guy's head right over his glove. What do I know? I run to the ball as fast as humanly possible. I gun him out so fast, it was a blink of an eye,
So
and he
you're in
was
right field,
out.
because I'm locked in on this story, and you said you're in left field. So
I'm in left field. So here goes the
so you're in
lefty
right
chopping
field.
it.
The
He
ball went
chopped
over
it.
the
He
first
hooked
baseman's
it. He
head.
hooked it. He hooked it. Yep, he hooked it. So I said, well, I'm taking this opportunity. I want to get this ball and I'm going to nab him. So I got him out and we won the game.
That's awesome.
We
But
won
you
the
were in
game.
right field then, because the lefty was up. He hooked it over the first baseman's head. You were in right field, not left field.
Right, Phil. Well, I felt I shouldn't even be on the field. So left field, right
Well,
field,
left field mean I got you. I got you. You know what, man? That's an awesome story. And in all honesty, work ethic, and that just shows that you must have worked your butt off, because you see uh, players nowadays. I mean, starting young, which I did too. I mean, I grew up with a baseball in my hand. I was fortunate enough to have a father who played in the big leagues. So I mean, that's what I wanted to do. But um, what's happening now is people are just getting burnt out. These kids are getting burnt out because and these parents are paying this and that and da da da. And you have to want to do it. You have to love to do it, and you have to have the work ethic to do it. And but no, that's a cool story, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I just felt as though I deserved it. I worked really hard to get there, but I'm really humble, and that was my first and last experience playing baseball. Now, during the ceremony where they lined us all up and you're going to get your photo taken, you're going to be in your uniform, it's all nice and clean and everything, you know how that goes. So you
Mm-hmm.
go get your photos. I had I how can I explain it? So I didn't have any gum. I'm a real big gum guy. So you give me some gum, I'm gonna chew on it. So all of a sudden these guys started becoming really like nice and giving me these sticks of gum, all different flavors and types, and some had Big League Chew, and I'm like, wow, this is really nice. And all of a sudden I'm lining up in the photo. I look like a chipmunk. I mean, I'm like, what is this?
You look like you had a chew in.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't shove it to one side of my mouth. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it looks like I'm chewing cud and I'm just a kid. It's like, wait
That's
a minute,
classic.
you're a little young to be chewing cud. I don't know. I don't think this is right. I have to talk to your parents about that. But 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 needless to say, it was a great experience. I had no reserves, and if they had asked me to come back, I probably would have said yes. But it is what it is. It is what it
Very
is.
cool.
So, and I tell you that story to tell you this story. So you were the only player to hit a cycle at and it's unheard of, to be honest. Even today, I mean, obviously you don't have Three Rivers, but you hit a cycle at Three Rivers. What was that like? Tell me about it, because I don't know of any other player that's hit the cycle there.
No, well, no, not at Three Rivers. There was a visiting player. I was the first home player, I believe, is what they said. But and I'm trying to think. It was funny because an old teammate of mine, Rick Ankiel, was pitching for the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. And I say old teammate because we played together in Kansas City. Okay. But he was an outfielder at the time. But anyhow, so I hit a home run my first at bat, and I believe I hit it was a single my second at bat. And Jed Edmonds probably should have caught it, but it was a tough play. And then double my third at bat, and then I think I struck out the next at bat, and we were beating up the Cardinals pretty good. So somehow I got another at bat, and I mean, I knew it. Every player, if a player tells you that they don't, I didn't even know, they're full of crap, because they do know. And I hit it in the, but I mean, this was when the AstroTurf was basically just carpet over cement, and it bounced a lot more than it does in today's game. Yeah. Talking about Tampa or Toronto or wherever else may have the turf, but I hit it. I knew that it was either going to be a ground rule double or I was going to get thrown out at third.
Wow.
So, and it hit the up, I don't know, maybe a little bit more than halfway up the wall, and I slid into third base, and it's pretty cool. I mean, I had no idea at the time that I was going to be the first Pirate to do it, but it's something cool. And I actually have a picture of that out of this room, which is it's kind of cool. So it was something. I mean, it's hard to do. I mean, I wasn't a home run hitter by any means, but I mean, if you really sit down and think about it, hitting for the cycle is I mean, it's a difficult thing. I mean, at the time, I didn't care. I was like, oh, that's cool. But I mean, it's just one of those things where now you look back on it when you're done playing, and that's pretty cool. I'm glad I can look at my name in the list of the others that have done it.
Sure. No, I mean, and you had 75 home runs, so that definitely speaks to something. You may not have thought you were a home run guy, but the minute you get that full swing, it was gone. I mean,
well, I mean, I was probably the only one I mean, PNC Park's a beautiful ballpark in Pittsburgh, but I was probably the only one who was upset to watch Three Rivers go, because it was a fair ballpark, and I was a gap to gap hitter. The gaps in at PNC now are, I mean, and I always hit it. I think it's like 410, right where the bullpen doors open. Mm-hmm. And I hit a ball, but now it would have been a home run at Three Rivers. But you know what it is. But no, I mean, I had a good time in Pittsburgh. Wish we could have won, but just never went that way.
Yeah, no, tell me about it. Fans are probably screaming right about it now. I was like, man, come on, can you just get this thing done? Of course, in '96 is a little bit more interesting of a year with a little bit more dynamics. Of course, you're talking Jim Edmonds. You're going back a little bit in regards to baseball and players. And
I know, right? And it seems like to us, it seems like yesterday. But yeah, no, it's a different era. And one thing about being in baseball, and this is my second year out, and I will get back into the game eventually. I just always remember my old man coming home in the off season and working, UPS, construction, whatever it may be. So I never had a chance to. I mean, he was kind of a year-round thing. So I always told myself, if I ever have a chance to make that money and have kids, that I'm gonna So that's what I'm doing right now. And I know this was, I can't remember what the heck we were talking about, to be honest with you, but I mean, it was going to filter into some story, but that's what I'm doing now. And I'm just watching my kids, and I'm going to tell you what, it is a blast. And, you know, the kids come up to me, hey, do you see so-and-so, so-and-so? And I'm kind of like my old man was. I'm just like, yeah. Well, and I'm not going to say like, well, heck, I did that like 4 times. So, but you know, and I'm out here in Kansas, and it was really cool. And I was in the front office with the Royals when we went to the World Series twice, 2015 and 2016, and obviously won in 2016.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's 14 and 2014 and 15. And the kids were, you know, they're a little younger than they are, obviously, well, now. But so they got a chance to see all that stuff. But I'm being a dad now, and I love every part of it.
Yeah, I'm actually a grandfather twice over, so I can.
That is awesome. Well, I better not be a grandfather over. Someone's out here. I got 4 dudes and a little girl who's in 8th grade. So yeah,
watch out.
And juniors, I got 2 juniors and a sophomore. So yeah, that better not be happening anytime soon.
Yeah, hopefully not. But you're a 3-time All-Star. There's just you know, I was going to ask you, speaking of the Royals, that team continues to find their way, and eventually going to get back to the big dance. You know, we've seen what the Dodgers were able to do, and of course, not having done that in, you know, a long time. I know Kansas City's been kind of always there
85 to 2015.
Yeah, they're always in that conversation. Do you believe, based on, you know, the moves, obviously Major League Baseball draft, you have AAA that's always going to be there to some extent, and you know, players may end up making a little bit more money in the AA circuit and the AAA circuit. But where do the Royals land in the grander scheme of things? Are they the competitors this year? Because we see teams like San Diego who pump themselves up big time with this $4 million, you know, maxed out contract for Fernando Tatis, who by all means deserves every dime. I mean, the guy is just red hot. He's so good at what he does. But do the Royals find themselves in contention with that type of firepower by comparison?
I think anything can happen if you have the pitching. And I know you hear everybody say, but it's the honest to God truth. I mean, you can go and get, you know, guys who are going to hit 40 home runs. You can have 3 of them, but if you can't pitch, if you can't, you know, stop the other team from scoring, you're going to have a difficult time. You know, and you know, the only other thing, Padres, and that they went out and they got on paper. Yes, they're absolutely one of the better teams, top 5 teams in all of baseball. On paper doesn't. And it took me 10 years to get to the playoffs. It took me 10 of my big league years to get to the playoffs with Oakland. And the thing about the playoffs is, and I think all you want to do as a team is be in a pennant race in late August, September.
Right.
Once the playoffs start, it is, and you can look back at all the last however many World Series, there's going to be one guy that gets hot, one pitcher that gets hot, one maybe 2 or 3 guys, and anything can happen at any given time. Mm-hmm. And I guess going back to your question is, can the Royals get there? Absolutely, they can. I mean, they have some young pitching, Dayton Moore and JJ. Basically the front office is pretty. They're very, very smart baseball people. Mm-hmm. So they knew that it was going to be after the 2014-2015 season. It was going to be, you know, maybe a couple of years down. But that all even being said is, if you can go out and get 25 guys on the same page and play baseball, then you have a chance to be in a pennant race, and you have a chance to make it to the postseason. Obviously, last year was a really, you know, it was a different year. But I mean, I'm going to tell you what, it was exciting once baseball did get back, even if it was a 60 game. But you know, the expanded playoffs, et cetera, and you know, it was fun, and it was also something for people to kind of take their mind off of some of the things that are going on. Besides the point, but can the Royals get back? I think anybody can. But at the end of the day, you're going to look back, and you're going to look back at the pitching. And as a manager, it's how you run your bullpen. It's it was number one, I guess, it's how you treat the guys, but getting back to the pitching part of it, it's how you run your bullpen, how you run your starters out there. If somebody needs a day off, and you have to be honest with them, and you have to have these one-on-one conversations because you're with these guys more than you are with your own family. So it's you have to know your players, but at the end of the day, you have to have pitching from your 5 starters to your bullpen, et cetera, and you have to keep them healthy.
Right. Well, speaking of healthy, and that goes back, that actually is a really good segue into when we're talking about a full season. You'd mentioned the 60 games, the expanded playoffs. They have runners at second base, kind of autonomously, right? Some anomalic kind of rules going on that kind of changed baseball. I don't know if it was designed to make it more exciting or it just almost provided a really a solid segue into what the minors may look like with those Major League Baseball rules in place, right? Because we always want to see something different. Was it a little too drastic to make those changes, even in a mitigated season last year?
I think the number of games that were going to be played, it was good to see. I mean, baseball's always going to try to make certain changes, and a lot of people don't know about it. I mean, whether it be in the Arizona Fall League, which, after the seasons are done, your top prospects go, whether it be in wherever it may be, the independent ball circuit, just to see if something's going to work. And do I like the changes? No. I mean, just for an example, I heard people talking today about, we're going to ban the shift. And I call BS on all this stuff. If you can hit at the big league level, you're pretty darn stinking good. And you can bunt, you can hit the ball the other way. I don't care where anybody's playing. But now what has been lost in baseball today is there's not people that are going to tell them how to play the game the right way. And this goes from Little League on up to Major League Baseball, meaning like you have to be accountable for what you do. If it's a 1-1 game in the 8th inning and there's a runner on second with no outs and there's nobody on the left side of the infield because they have you in a shift and you're a left-handed hitter, get them. And these guys can do that. So when I heard that today about the whole shift, I'm just going like, it's unbelievable. But your managers, your coaches, and not all of them, not they are the ones who need to stand up and say like, hey, or take them out. The only thing you can take away from a player nowadays is playing time, because they're making money. But some of these coaches there's coaches now in the big leagues that have never even sniffed minor league ball. I mean, analytics or this and that and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And it is not to say that they're not baseball people, because they are good baseball people, but there is a spot for, and I'm getting into the whole analytics and kind of like your old school thing. There is a spot for both of them. And you just almost kind of like be a mediator or something like that. But the little rule changes, like, having a computer for a strike zone, they've tested that out last couple of years with independent ball in Arizona Fall League. Mm-hmm. And you know what, if someone's throwing, a sidearmer's throwing, the computer's not actually going to pick up the thing. So there can be ball right down the middle. So there's going to be things. The human element cannot be taken away from the game, I guess. More is what I'm trying to say. You need umpires, but it's okay to try to tinker with stuff. And, for instance, what you're talking about, the runner on second base in extra innings. Awesome. But why are guys still right-handed hitter, runner on second base? Why are guys still hooking right-handed hitters, still hooking balls in the left and not even giving an effort to hit a ball to the right side? And you can't feel for it, but I mean, you drive it that way. And now this is where the manager or a veteran player, it has to be like, hey, dude, here's the deal. You're not going to give us and there'll be some altercation stuff and that you deal with during the dugout, because you go out that 1-run game. I was very, very fortunate enough to be in, I never went to the World Series, but in 3, maybe 4, I can't remember, 3 postseason, on 3 postseason teams. And I was with the Milwaukee Brewers in one of them. 162 game schedule, right? In 6 years in a row, it went down to the 163rd game. And I was a part of it. the one playoff game to see who was going to get in. And this was in 2008. I didn't have to play in there, but I mean, it was the 6th year in a row.
Right.
Because we did get in, we beat the Cubs and the Mets lost, but it would have been 163rd game
right
played. And I think someone else did, but anyhow, bottom line is it went down to the last day of the season. So that one run that you got guys hooking balls in and not even giving an effort to get the guy over to second, from second to third,
right.
where the next guy could hit a sac fly and you win the game. That could cost you. It could cost you a chance to be in the postseason. Could cost you a chance to win a World Series. I mean, they say game of inches. It literally is. Oh, the games in April don't mean anything. No, they do. They totally do. I mean, every game means something. And but I think a lot of the coaches and managers are so scared of the players at some point. Not all of them, like I said. Please don't think I'm saying all of them. That they don't say anything. Oh, this guy's making, $8 million. What am I? You can tell me to go eat and then go to the front office and what do the front office guys know? They can barely play catch 60 feet. I mean, some of them, not all of them.
Right. Not all.
But I think you get to my point. And then one thing I am is I'm a very straightforward person. And do I don't know. I just think that the game is there's a room for analytics and your old school guys, but so the rule changes. I mean, another one I heard was picking off a runner. You can only throw over twice in the minor leagues well, what about, your left-handers who, have that special, like an Andy Pettit or Terry Mulholland. Someone has a good move. I mean, that's a way to get another out.
Yep.
So, and it's just trial and error type thing. Sure. But you're also doing this in the minor leagues where when these kids do get up to the big leagues and everything is free game, they're not going to know what to do. So if you're going to do all these things, I truly believe you should do it, but it should be in independent ball. It should be in, fall league games or winter ball. Mm-hmm. Just my opinion. And, that's just the way I think. So,
well, I think some of the rules are designed to, and albeit for me, I'm not into stealing signs. I know that was a big deal between the Red Sox. I know the Astros, had done it, and I don't get into that stuff. I mean, obviously, clearly, they were, the justice fit the crime at the end of the day. It shouldn't be done, period, regardless.
If I were you and any Dodger fans out there, I'd be pissed because I'm going to tell you what, and it gets back to these guys being able to hit the ball the other way. I can tell you right now that if I knew what was coming every pitch, when I had my best year and I knew every pitch was coming, I'd hit over 400, guaranteed. Now you look at guys like George Brett, Tony Gwynn, Mike Trout, and I'm talking about every pitch. Right. These guys are so gifted, and it's hard to hit a baseball. So that is something that, I mean, that World Series that the Astros won, I mean, I would be embarrassed to be a part of that organization. And if you're an LA fan, you should be pissed because these guys are that good when they get to the big leagues.
Sure. No, and they definitely are. And I believe that if you're a fan of any team that had the ability to get in, but because they had cheated, it just puts a whole, I don't know, it's almost like this big black cloud that seems to be circling on your head. Like, what do we do wrong? What didn't we do? Right? Who made the fewest mistakes? I remember having, I don't know if you know Mark Gubiza or not, but I had Mark on prior to the season. Yep. I had Mark on, and me and him were going back and forth. Of course, he's the color for the LA Angels. Great guy. I love him to death. Me and him have tons in common. But when I had him on, we were talking about that, and basically he was just saying, look, if you're going to cheat and you get caught, you deserve whatever happens to you. And that's
another thing that's wrong. You look at the managers that did it. They sat out a year. They have jobs now. Yeah, they must be really good ass kissers. Excuse my language, because these guys allowed them, which is AJ Hinch, and the second baseman for the Cora. These guys have jobs this year. Yeah. These guys knew what was going on. They started it. They should be bet. I mean, but Pete Rose has, he bet it. At least Pete Rose bet on himself.
Yeah.
I mean, from whatever I hear, or from what I heard, but
Yeah.
I mean, Pete Rose can't get in the Hall of Fame, but these guys can get back to the big leagues somehow. And I have made a mistake. Made a mistake. I'm going to go up and ask anybody in LA to see what kind of mistake you did make. And it'll actually be interesting this year because fans will be allowed in the seats.
Yeah.
Hopefully after July 4th. I don't know when. And I do believe the Astros do go and play the Dodgers. So it'd actually be interesting because, listen, I grew up in LA. I mean, and any diehard fans that there are, there's going to be, it would be interesting. So mark that game on your calendar and hopefully you can have full capacity by that time. And, but I'd still be pissed. I would be furious if I was the Dodgers because something could have happened. Obviously you guys won last year.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great team.
Yeah.
But if someone knows what's coming, a big league hitter, and you can go back and look at Kevin Brown, for instance, and he threw the ball 98 miles an hour and it was sinking. And I'm not talking about, okay, I know a curveball's coming. I'm talking about your two seamers that are moving, that are coming in, like who's the redheaded kid out there? I can't think of it off my head for the Dodgers. Anyhow, he opened up
Turner
last year.
Justin Turner.
No, the pitcher. Anyhow, so real good sink. If you as a hitter have already faced a pitcher that where their ball cuts, where their ball sinks, or how much and you maybe have 5 or 6 at bats against this person at some point, and you do know what's coming, you're going to get him, and that's when the pitcher's like. But at the same time, a catcher should know what if it's coming from banging a trash can or whatever, and that's where the catcher should stand up and walk over to their dugout and be like, "You do it again, I'm going to hit every one of you guys in the neck." Every at bat until we get in a full out brawl.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be Tommy Tough guy, but you at some point you have to stand up for yourself and for your team.
Well, yeah. Well, not only that, but when you look at the fact alone that there were death threats that were being given to some of these guys on the Astros, and the fact that they have jobs, you had mentioned they have jobs with other major league teams. But I think what's really missing all this is that they didn't believe that there was enough to strip the Astros of that World Series title. I disagree completely.
1,000%, because the people that are making the decisions have never sat in the batter's box, seeing the sink, seeing the cut, because they weren't good enough to get to the big leagues. Listen, if it's one thing to get drafted or play in the minor leagues, it's not. If every parent out there thinks that, I want my kids to go and play and do, and it's not going to happen though. I mean, it's not going to, but that's why I say, when I was talking earlier, let these kids have fun and enjoy what they're doing, because not everybody's going to get drafted. But if you can get drafted and you are fortunate enough to get to the minor leagues and you can continue, there's only 25,000, give or take, Major League Baseball players that ever played.
Right. And
there's a reason for that, from the eye-hand coordination to the knowing how to play the game but if you know what is coming, every pitch, and you're that good to get to the big leagues, boy, I would love to see what, and I don't want to come off like, oh, I would hit 400. I would have, but I would have loved to see what Tony Gwynn, George Brett, Ted Williams, if they had 1 year at their elite of elite, their best year they had, it would have hit 550. These guys
easily
were that good.
Yeah,
so
they were. You got your Babe Ruths, as well. Yeah.
I mean, 750 home runs. Okay. It's not just what fastball's coming. Is it sinking? Anyhow, we could talk about that all. We'll have to do that for another
No. I totally understand. The bottom line is that there have been rule changes that have been made to help benefit the game, and then you have those other components which not necessarily have benefited the game, but when the actual, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, this happened a couple of years ago, so it's not as if it's anything new, and anything I haven't discussed that I've talked about on the Rude Dog Show a lot with a lot of different personalities, a lot of former players, as well. I've been trying to get the Big Hurt on, but he's always busy, so I don't really have any time.
Yeah. Tell him that I did it. Maybe he'll hop on over. What a great person. We played together in Oakland for a year.
I remember. He's a great guy, great personality, very knowledgeable as well, and he knows how to present himself. Even if you did text to get a supplement to help you with your issue, so. But this is Rudy Reyes on the Rude Dog Show. Welcome by Jason Kendall. Thanks, man, so much for coming on. So this begs the ultimate question, right? So the Dodgers did it last year, did it inside of a little bubble. All you need to do is a little pin to help pop that zit, and and that's really all it had taken. But they just got that much better. They just got that much better. How can this team improve on any areas with this new addition?
Once again, getting on the paper thing, they're pretty good. And they're definitely the team to beat. I don't care what anybody says. If you win a World Series the next year, you're the team to beat, as it should be. And the Dodgers will be the team to beat. So, there's the Texas Ranger team. Sometimes you have too many stars.
Right.
I mean, the Texas Rangers team, I can't even remember what year it was, but, they had Alex Rodriguez, Pudge Rodriguez, Palmeiro. There's too many stars. But what the Dodgers have is, they got a bunch of stars, but they've also got a bunch of good kids, good ball players. I mean, Seager to me is he had his Tommy John, and watch the year he has. He's one of the better shortstops, at least top 5 in the game. But it usually takes a good year to get over the Tommy John, and it's usually that second year back.
Right.
And I think what you saw in the playoffs, you're going to see a lot of this whole year. And obviously, I mean, you have stars everywhere. So can they get better? They're the team to beat. I think more than anything is health. You have to stay healthy. And when I say that, there's freak things that can happen to where, you might lose somebody.
Oh yeah, big time. Absolutely.
And that's in any sport. That's in anything you do. But if they're healthy, they're going to be right there. And they're going to be, and that's the beauty about baseball, though. They'll be in the playoffs. They'll probably win the division. But the beauty about baseball is once you get to the postseason, anything can happen.
Well, everything's been firing. I mean, all the cylinders were firing. Of course, there were some cylinders that probably shouldn't have been firing when you're talking about postseason. And the fact that Justin Turner, who was designated as having COVID-19, decided to come out on the field. And of course, again, nothing I haven't already spoken about, but he comes out on the field and he was designated to have COVID-19, but yet he poses a photo with the rest of the Dodgers organization out on the field, accepting the nod as being the World Series champions. I mean, how did this sit in with you, or did you even think about it as being something that maybe he shouldn't have done?
I think I put myself in I try in both situations as a player, especially last year. I don't know. I wasn't involved in, I mean, you can only see your people. You're in a bubble. It's a grind. And I'm sure there's some players on that team that didn't see their wives or kids or families or grow for however long, the 60 games or more. Right. So you go through that grind and you finally finish it off. Yeah, you're going to be out there. And I guarantee you his whole team was going to you better get your butt out of da. I don't know the situation. Like the fact that they did not tell him until the 7th inning is what I heard. Is that, I don't know if I'm correct in that.
Yeah.
Is someone dropped the ball on that, because he shouldn't have been playing the game. If the manager for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, Cash, had any type of idea how to run a pitching staff, I don't mean to, but I mean, it didn't let the analytical guys tell him how to run a pitching staff, then it would have gone to a game 7. Or if Justin Turner would have known that and came out on the field, I mean, it would have gone to a game 7 to where they still might not have played it.
Right.
I mean, because if Kevin Cash left Snell in, the Rays were winning that game. Bottom line.
Yeah, they were.
Absolutely. Bottom line. So now, 7th inning, Trey Turner gets COVID. You gotta. Everybody's going to be in bubble for 2 weeks. The 7th game might not even still been played.
Yeah, you're right. They actually probably would have stopped the game, but then that really begs the question as to whether or not you should have pulled your player. And he pulled the pitcher at the wrong possible time.
It's
Why
whoever
would you
knew
do
about
that?
it. Whoever knew about it behind the scenes is what is who to blame. Now, who is that? I don't know, but I'm assuming, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Somebody knew about that a lot earlier, but maybe his at bat was coming around one more time. Maybe I mean, who knows? Maybe they didn't have somebody else to replace him in defense. I don't know. I don't know the situation, but I find it odd that it takes them the seventh inning to in the World Series of a 6-game to, oh wait, hey, Justin, you tested positive. It just, that whole thing is kind of weird to me.
Well, I mean, the timing obviously doesn't really help a whole lot of anything whatsoever. But I think, moreover, the knee jerk reaction by that pitching bullpen to want the skipper to make that change, it just that part of it, whether or not they were related or not, remains to be seen. But I just did not necessarily agree. And of course, we've seen Dave Roberts do the same thing with Clayton Kershaw. Decided to take him off the mound in an untimely fashion, and they end up blowing it because they had somebody else up there who maybe had not been warmed up enough. Maybe they weren't designated at the right time. Maybe it was the wrong pecking order. Maybe his arm was warmed up faster than somebody else. I mean, we don't know the dynamics of it, but Dave Roberts has screwed the pooch on a few occasions with the Dodgers in the playoffs. Yet he learned his lesson. I think he learned his lesson. I could be wrong, but he learned his lesson by not pulling Clayton when he didn't need to pull Clayton, right? So there's certain pitchers that based on pitch counts, based on how many batters that he's faced. Is OPS too high? What is a mitigating circumstance? What would you do if you were Dave Roberts or Cash in those respective situations?
But when you get to the postseason, it's all hands on deck. There's not, and I would not even think about, and this does happen, having someone come down or uh, a front office person text somebody that is close by and say, "Hey, put this guy in." I would not allow that. Like I get it. There's certain things with analytics, and there's certain things with the old school stuff, but when 7 o'clock starts or 7:05, whenever the game time start, I'm running this. I'm not a puppet. I'm not, and not all of these guys are, but I'm not going to be told by someone who is, I've been there. I've done that. I have been in the on-field battles, so to say, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
I'm not going to have you, oh, you know what? The computer just popped up and said that you need to get this guy up and you need to take that guy out. No, that's how you know your players. And
Right.
you go out and sometimes it backfires, sometimes it doesn't. But
Right.
when you get to the postseason, it's your gut feeling. And trust me, everybody who has played at the big league level has that gut feeling, and you always go with it. And
Right.
there was no gut feeling for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays right there. If there was, then they might have been the World Series champions. Who knows? But there was nothing hard. I can get into that. I'm not, for a while, but I'm not going to have people up top telling me what to do once the game starts. And,
Right.
that's what I did my whole career. I learned how to run the bullpen. I knew that whatever team was coming in from that we played 2 months ago in our division, I knew what a certain guy hit off a certain pitch and a certain count. And obviously those good hitters, the ones that are hitting 330, they remember that as well. And there's all this video everywhere. And
Right.
so that's where you have to mix it up. But taking Snell out of that game is, I don't know. If I was a GM or an owner, I'd have fired him.
Yeah, I would have done it already. He
Mhm.
would have never had that capability of making that decision, right? Because we're
But it also
talking.
goes back to who's really running it.
Well, sometimes owners seem to get in their own way, and when I say that, and I'm not saying that applies to every single NFL team, Major League Baseball team, NBA team. Most of the time, a lot of these owners are kind of in a hands-off situation because they're not intellectually informed in regards to their team. The players, they don't understand the chemistry, they don't understand the camaraderie. There's a lot of components they just don't understand. A lot of teams will get a mitigator, right? Somebody who knows the numbers, knows how to crunch them, yet
Whoever took
is a player's fan.
whoever told Kevin Cash to take Snell out should be fired. If it's the owner, along with Kevin Cash. If it's the owner, then sell the team. I mean, they've never won a World Series. They've been to one,
Right.
but I mean, and you know what's funny is they have to live with that. Like, oh, hey, well, I'm the one that did it. I mean, and they're the only ones that are gonna know.
Right.
Every night they go to bed like, oh man, why did I do that? Because that you talk about a somebody winning in Tampa Bay. I mean, especially after the Lightning won, and then I mean the Buccaneers. It would have been a sweep.
Yeah.
With I mean, I don't know if that was the same years or not, but I mean, it would have been a sweep. Obviously, you cross, but wow, what a cool thing for Florida.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it didn't happen because somebody told Cash, take him out now.
Snell out of the game. Now Snell was winning that battle. I mean, I watched that game. He was winning the battle. It may not have been on every single pitch, but he was winning the battles overall.
There weren't too many hard hit balls, and the one base hit that he gave up was a good piece of hitting. But I mean, it wasn't like ball was off the wall or he's walking everybody. I mean, next pitch could have been a ground ball double play, which he had obviously previously done. And those people will be the only ones that know. And I guarantee you, what you should try to do is go over and get Snell on this show, because him being with a different team and everything, he might just go blurt it out.
Yep,
and I would be surprised if it did not come out.
He could. Does the same thing happen with the Astros in regards to that whole cheating scam we were talking about earlier, as to, they were porous at the mouth after it was all said and done. Sort of. Not all of them were, but some of them were. Correa, not so much. Management, no, we didn't do it. No. Players know exactly what was going on, whether or not they want to admit it or not. But they have to go to bed every single night wondering if they're the ones who screwed the pooch and ultimately cheated, right? So they have to live with that.
That's why Friars probably came out and just said, "Hey, this is what happened." Which, I mean, at the same time, you need to, when you the first time you hear about that, if you're a veteran player or anybody in that, or a manager, you say, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" Because I can honestly say that just not everybody on that team was gonna know, and if they're so I don't know how many people were, but I mean, at the same time, if somebody knew, and you're just a baseball guy, you're going to say something. I mean, it's confrontation doesn't mean you have to go out and get in a fight, but confrontation means you kind of sometimes, hey, no, there's no way in hell we're doing this. We're not going to do this. No.
Yep. No, you're right. Something you said for letting your conscience be your guide. I don't know that necessarily was the case at any point whatsoever. You're talking about Pete Rose and the fact that he's not going to get into the Hall of Fame. He's not going to be in Cooperstown anytime soon. Well, if that's the case, then neither should McGuire, neither should Sosa, because they cheated the game as well. Begs the question.
Oh, you can, Rudy, you could go on and on and on. Best baseball player I've ever played against, Barry Bonds, hands down. Steroids, no steroids. I've never seen anything like it. He was like going out and playing, wiffle ball with 8-year-olds. He was that good. Do steroids make you hit the ball further? I'm assuming. I don't know. I never hit a ball that far like he would, but you still have to hit it. And I always told my kids about the whole steroid era. I was like, you know what? And I'll never forget this. And one of our Christmas presents for my brother and myself, long time ago. I mean, heck, I might have been second grade. It's whenever Sports Illustrated came out, and there's a picture of Lyle Alzado on it. And I didn't know who Lyle Alzado was. And I asked my dad, I go, "Who's this? And what is it?" And I had the whole talk about it. And basically what you're doing is you're just cutting 10 years off of your family. If you want to go take them, go ahead. You're going to blow up here before you can watch your kids do certain things. And that's just been my take on it. And that was all. I'll never forget that, because I didn't know who Lyle Alzado was. And I just asked my old man, and he sat down and told me. And
I think when you look at guys like Lyle Alzado, and you look at those guys that have done the steroids, that found a way to create more of a competitive advantage without having it, wonder what their seasons would have been like, wonder what their careers would have been like, wonder what hoopla had surrounded either one of these players, any player that's cheated in baseball for that matter. And I'm sure there are some that have cheated that we don't even know about. I can guarantee you.
Without a doubt. I will say, what was kind of funny to me is the year that they started testing. You knew who took them and who didn't, because
for sure. Absolutely.
There were people. I have a strained hamstring. No, that hamstring snapped. I strained my calf. No, your calf just popped in half. I mean, you knew who. My groin. I got a tweak in my groin. No, your groin just snapped. You're out for the. So it was kind of like, oh, all right.
We're talking about injuries and things that have disabled us from getting back to play normal games. I've had injuries. They weren't necessarily sports related, but they were injuries which prevented me from doing regular everyday things. I can't imagine what it's like to go through an ACL, MCL tear, or even a hip or an ankle or anything of that nature, preventing that kind of play, even at a regular level, much less a Major League Baseball level. I mean, how often these guys play injured, I guess, is the bigger question, because you talk about the NFL, and the NFL plays guys who are injured. Back in the day, they used to shoot them up, say, well, there you go. There's your cure. Go play another 4 or 5 downs, and call it a day and let us know how you feel. Whereas Major League Baseball may not have that kind of Novocaine knee-jerk reaction to just kind of shoot you, and say, okay, well, go ahead and back in. You have tendonitis. We're just going to put some in your elbow and call it a day. I mean, how many horror stories have you heard of guys with adverse effects from injuries like that without giving up names?
Well, I can honestly say, as far as injuries go, and I get asked this question a lot, injuries, this or that. When did you ever feel the healthiest? The best? And I can honestly say this. First game I ever played, because I was on cloud 9, was the only game that I can honestly say that I was 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was just like, I could have ran, and it was in Joe Robbie Stadium, but I mean, you're feeling it. Then
right.
Next day, okay, back in the routine. But my first big league game was the only game that I've ever played where I was, without a doubt, 100%. Now, I'm not saying, maybe 99, but I mean, guys at that level, there's something wrong every day, whether it be, bone bruise, strain, and you just go out there and you play through it, because there's always someone behind you
want to take that spot. And same thing in the NFL. If you don't beat that person out, guess what? They're going to come for you. They're going to come for you. They're after your job. They're after your position. And There's no way that you should take that lightly, because at any given moment you could be the next man up.
Wally Pipp. I mean, the next Wally Pipp. There you go.
I'm just saying, it's going to happen. Rudy Reyes here on the Rude Dog Show, welcoming Jason Kendall, who played with a handful of Major League Baseball teams, who knows his stuff. Jason, man, thank you so much for coming on. Just a few more minutes with you. And then, this season shouldn't be like the next one. We look at capacities of stadiums. We look at, what the NFL looked like at 25%, right? It didn't start off at 25%, but it ended up at 25%. Even the Super Bowl had a lot of mitigating fans there in the stands, and very small, minute percentile compared to what we would normally see at a Super Bowl, right? All the hoopla and a lot of fandom, things of that nature. But where do you believe COVID-19 will kind of, maybe, I'm going to say kind of, but perhaps sets a segue into what Major League Baseball stadiums would look like in the eventuality of it all, if COVID-19 was not to become so much of an issue as it is right now?
I mean, that's a great question, and I think it's everybody's personal opinion. Everybody get a shot. Everybody get a shot. It's been a year. I mean, if that's what you're asking, where I think baseball is going to go, do I think what the Texas Rangers are doing as far as full capacity? But that's none of my business. Everybody has their own opinions. I think everybody, I don't know. I mean, that's a tough question. I say that because of just how everything's been going, from, politics to whatever it may be. And I'm not a politician. I'm not a real religious guy. I'm you treat people the way you want to be treated, right, and get by. And so I don't know. I mean, baseball, it's going to be back. It's going to be back. Football's, the fans are all going to be back. It's neat to see. It's fun. And gosh, you know what? When baseball was back, and as a player, there's no fans in the stands, it's tough to play. But I mean, you know what? For what they did, and I kind of, and I've said this a couple of times about, as far, it's kind of like the way 9/11 was. And, we took 2 weeks off. And there was a point after those 2 weeks where they say, "Let's get back." And did all the players want to get back? It's kind of like, this is, this is something. It was the best thing for the United States to get back because it gave somebody the out for 3 hours that, so I think
Right.
that's what baseball did last year, and they did a great job of doing it. And I think if things go the way that things are going now, then you'll see, 45,000 at games again real soon. But you know what? As a player, you want the fans. It's all about the fans. You need the fans in the stands, and that's why I said that earlier. It's tough playing with nobody. I brought up the Arizona Fall League earlier, and that's how pretty much the Arizona Fall League is, unless you have family in town or whatever. Unless Michael
Sure.
Jordan, I was fortunate enough to play with Michael Jordan when he was with the White Sox. It was, these spring training sites were packed. So you just
Right.
hoped you played Michael Jordan's team, the
Right.
Scottsdale Scorpions at the time. But anyhow, so that's my opinion. I'm glad that all these sports it's taken this whole, it's taken people, whether it be 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it may be, just taking them to a different place with all the things that have been going on.
Right. No, a lot of things have been shaped because of COVID, right? So we've seen the molding of the clay, so to speak, in regards to player initiatives. We look at social injustices that are really big and huge right about now, with changes that have been made that have swept the country.
Without a doubt.
People getting fired, people getting promoted, people acquiring new positions because of their stances, and no longer do people need to be in fear of the retaliatory types of remarks and how they're being treated. This has taken on a whole different life where, and it all during a COVID time, right? It was
Oh, without a doubt.
2020 rolled into 2021, and it wasn't like I want a refund. It doesn't happen that way. You're not going to get a refund in 2021 when here we are already in March. Vaccines are rolling out. People are getting those administered to them. We've seen the last presidential regime not do, and you could base that upon any opinion or factor or what have you. And I don't go political. It's not my realm. But as that pertains to sports, a lot of the vaccines that were stated that were going to be given out to people, those people would have been the ones to attend those stadiums, right? So that certain higher end percentile, yeah, we're going to get back to normal and the cold's going to kill it and all this other business didn't happen. So all those fans otherwise would have expected to be a part of the stands, to be part of that player slash fan experience, right? And we've seen players and fans interact in a positive way. We've seen fans get a little bit too much in the way of outfielders, right? And we know we're talking about with the Cubs, and we've seen all these things, right? The players involved with slight altercations, whatever the case might be. But I think, moreover, the bottom line to this is, with changes that are being made and the vaccines that are rolling out, the social injustices that are being rightfully justiced, right? Because we look at those as shaping where we're at, what direction we're going. Sports is playing a part of that role, whether anybody wants to admit that or put that out there on Front Street. Sports is really driving certain economical components in regards to getting fans back in the stands. Boom. Local players, kids, high schoolers that are hopefully getting their opportunity through CIF, just as an example, including baseball players. Football players are getting back to some type of normalcy. We're looking at NCAA March Madness. Teams also getting infected with COVID. Duke was, Kansas was.
I'm in Kansas, and it's here. It's here at the Sprint Center, and for people that are just big. I mean, obviously KU basketball is KU basketball, and
Right.
yeah, I mean, you talk about just something that hopefully they can get to the point to where they have a full squad next week when it does start. But boy, you talk about some upset and I'll say upset, yeah, but I'm just disappointment. But it's also part of what's been going on, and I don't think too much surprises people anymore. I hope that people learn from what has gone on over the last year.
That's always going to change. It's always going to evolve and potentially again help drive directions where we need to have those being driven towards, because we're not trying to run away from, we're trying to work through it. And I think that this mask mandate that are good for some states that aren't good for other states, for whatever financial or governmental reasons behind all of that, Look, if you're going to mask one person, mask everybody. Bottom line, I don't care if you're a sport, if you're an athlete, whatever that pertains to. Make sure you do the right thing. Not only if it's not for you, do it for somebody else. Right?
Without doubt. I couldn't agree with you any. You're right. 1,000%. I mean, we can have this conversation probably all night. And I mean, it's not that difficult. Wear your mask. Don't be dumb. Don't go to spring break in Clearwater, Arizona and not wear a mask and go party this and that, blah. Yeah. I mean, we can have this conversation all night. It's just a matter of people actually do it or not.
Right.
So hopefully they do, and hopefully everything gets back to
do it the right way, do the right thing. And it shouldn't be about money, should not be about finances, should not be about, who's going to get it first. And because you have a bigger pocketbook or a bigger wallet than somebody else, you put your pants on one leg at a time, just like everybody else does. They may be more expensive, but the concept is exactly the same way. I'm Rudy Reyes. This is Jason Kendall, and you're on the Rude Dog Show. We're live on YouTube for just a few minutes longer. Jason, so let's kind of go a little retro here. Going back to your playing days and the types of teams that you've been on and the types of personalities and locker rooms and attitudes, some good, some bad. Some people were prima donnas and others maybe not so much, and they're very humble or they're very quiet. Who was the person you enjoyed playing with? And we won't necessarily talk about the team, but the person you enjoyed playing with the most during your tenure in Major League Baseball?
That's a great question. I don't know. I mean, I know that whether you like someone or you didn't like someone and you stepped in between the lines, that there's 25 guys that are your family. Obviously you have friends, I mean, that you keep in touch with. So I can't really sit here and pinpoint one because I'd be missing a lot of them. Because I played for 5 different teams. So I enjoyed playing. I enjoyed going out there, and I won't say just one person because, like I said, it's now that you asked the question, my mind's going. And so I enjoyed what I did. I had a great gig for a long time, and someone actually paid me for it. And I enjoyed all my teammates, whether I liked them or not. I was going out and going to war with them when the game started.
And doing your thing and making good on the fact that you were there to work as hard as possible to make your impact known as frequently as possible, being on that grand stage. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with, because there is no I in team, there is an I in win. And if you can win at the end of the day, doing what you do best, doing what you love, and have passion for what you do, and it shows, you're going to have teams that will pay you $4 million. You have teams that will pay you an exorbitant amount of money because you were able to put that product out on the field. But not only that, but in the community, within the locker room, you become a positive individual. You're progressive. You know where you're going. You want people to kind of help follow your mentality, your attitude, your mindset, your progressionary means. And again, action without words or words without action, either way you slice it, are not going to be well received.
Without doubt, Rudy, I will say this though: it's a lot. You enjoy your teammates a lot more when you win.
No, that's true. Yeah, no, I completely no. Yeah, no, I get it. I totally get it. But when you're a one man show, even like if you're Tiger Woods, and hopefully he's getting a lot better and gets back to normal. And I would love to see Tiger go back at it again. Tons of injuries for him.
Tiger Woods, man, he will be. He'll be all right.
Yeah. He'll be all right. Yeah, I have faith in Tiger. If you're watching Tiger, I welcome you back, and I think you will be back. But you see one team sports, one team guys. You have your Serenas of the world. You have those individuals that will go out and make that instant impact because of who they are as individuals. Now, what they do with that is a whole nother story, right? Because we hear about Colin Kaepernick and how that move may have not been the best thing to do on such a grand stage. Well, it depends on what side of the fence you're on. Should you kneel in a given, NFL game? Yeah, maybe. Some say yes, some say no. Was it the timing? Was it bad? Was it good? Did it work? Did it not? Did it have an adverse effect on his career? I'm going to say yes to that one big time, obviously, because he's nowhere to be found in an NFL locker room or on an NFL team for that matter. But I think that, we can all stand on different sides of the fence on various issues. But at the end of the day, if you're objective enough to see what that looks like and the impact that other people feel and recognize and maybe associate with, you're doing something right. Or people are joining the board, jumping on with what you're trying to show, what you're trying to exhibit, not just with words, but with the actions. And those actions are everything, right? Because actions without words
It
is
goes
meaningless.
back, and I can honestly wrap this up in 2 seconds. I mean, it goes back. You treat people the way you want to be treated, and I truly, and that's what I teach my kids.
Yeah.
And I mean, to for me, it is what I've lived by my whole life. Treat people the way you want to be treated. It's really that simple. Whatever your beliefs are, whatever it's treat them the way you want to be treated.
Yeah. No,
Because nobody wants to be
I
treated
can't
bad.
agree more. She's like, we're from the same school. Maybe I was a year older in third, you were in second, but whatever. You can always ask that question: who's on first and he's on
That's
second, or
right.
what's on third, and the whole Abbott and Costello action. But yeah, this is Rudy Reyes. We're live on YouTube for just another minute or so longer. Jason, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. It's been an absolute delight. You're welcome on any time. I see you're a Steelers fan.
I'm whoever covers the spread fan, but I was in Pittsburgh for 9 years, so yeah, I've always been a Steelers fan. I got a couple more. If I am on again, I got a couple more hats that I'll whip out for you. But yeah, I was in Pittsburgh for a long time, watched them, still love them.
Yeah.
So, but I also love whoever covers the spread.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think everybody can atone to that. I'm not a gambling guy. I'm fortunate enough just to wake up every morning. So, with that being said, Jason, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate having you on. You can find this podcast on the Rude Dog Show. This is live. I'm trying to do these live sessions as often as possible. You're welcome back anytime, Jason. Just let me know, man. I'll be glad to have you back on.
Really would
love
about
to. The spreads, wages, whatever you want, man. We can definitely chop it up. But I definitely appreciate your time. Thanks again.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. It's Rudy Reyes on the Rude Dog Show. Jason Kendall joins me, and I welcome him back with open arms and an open doghouse. Anyway, this is Rudy Reyes, and definitely talk to you soon. Thanks